Open up your eyes, take a look at me. Get the picture fixed in your memory. I'm driven by the rhythm like the beat of a heart. And I won't stop until I start to stand out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the LorcanaCast, the happiest podcast on earth. We are the Premiere Disney Trading Card Game Podcast. We are here with Jason, Chris, Skeff.
Yo.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Awesome.
I'm phenomenal.
All right, that's good to hear. And we actually have a special guest. So we have been talking about this website that we've been partnered with ever since day one. That is LorcanaHQ.com. And we have John who is joining us. How are you doing today, man?
Hello out there in TV land. I'm doing good, man.
So yeah, we are here to sit back and talk about Lorcana. But before we do, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and LorcanaHQ.com so everyone can get to know you better?
Yeah, my name's Jonathan Medina. I come from Magic the Gathering background. And when I heard about Lorcana, I got pretty excited. I have dabbled in other card games, and I'd make a business of buying and selling Magic the Gathering cards. And so, like, naturally, I looked at other card games like Flesh and Blood and this kind of stuff. And one of the things that I realized about Flesh and Blood is that they don't have a casual realization of the game. And I feel that, like, that makes it, like, not so marketable. It really just kind of hones in on one demographic, right? And when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about, wow, like, this game is not as marketable as Magic because it doesn't have this casual aspect. So then, like, Lorcana gets, like, announced, and I'm like, oh, wow, like, this has a lot of potential, because I think that they will probably market it to, like, more of a wide audience, right? And lots of different people would draw interest in that. So once I heard about it, I said, I definitely want to be involved with this game. So I jumped on the Lorcana HQ stuff right away and started to try to, bring people together who are interested in the game.
That's awesome. So we got connected early on and talked a little bit about, hosting the podcast on the site and doing all kinds of, cross-promotional content together. But talking a little bit more about you and your background, you're running a shop, you've been playing Magic. What was it about Lorcana that grabbed your attention? Because there's so many different aspects to the game that's pulling people in who are both trading card game players and non-trading card game players.
So it was a pretty good mix of things that pulled me in. So yeah, I am just now opening a shop. So actually part of the reason for opening a shop is so that I can establish relationships with distributors so that I can be ready for Lorcana. Before the shop, I was kind of just hanging out and doing a pack opening stream for Magic and building a Magic community, behind the stream and behind the website. I have another website called alchemistrefuge.shop. And that is like the Magic centric website and stuff. So when Lorcana was announced, I was like drawn to a couple aspects. Number one, it's Disney, and Disney is known for having like a family friendly brand, and I'm like a wholesome kind of guy in general. That's I'm a Christian. I'm like, I go to church, this kind of stuff. And it's funny because like when I'm hanging out in the Magic crowd, sometimes, I'm kind of like the Flanders of the group or whatever, if you will, just kind of the odd man out in a sense. So I was excited because I was like, oh, this will bring this will kind of it kind of fits the brand or like my personality. Their brand fits my personality. Let me put it that way, of the kind of family friendly thing. And I'm ready for something new, man. Magic is very intense with the product cycle right now. There's sets dropping. I mean, it's a meme at this point of when sets are dropping, and there's so many sets dropping. And it's like, I want a refreshing break. I played Flesh and Blood for a little bit, and I felt like, oh, this is nice. It was a game that was completely different than Magic. And I think Lorcana can be like that, a different kind of game, a refreshing break from Magic, and it'll match up with who I am. Their brand will match up with who I am pretty well. So I'm excited to see, I've been excited. I've been waiting to see when the cards came out. I was just further encouraged because I think like, man, the cards look good. It looks like there's a lot of thought that went into the game itself. The art is great. So, all positive signs coming from the Lorcana camp.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. Now we're going to ask some fun questions. Tell us about your favorite Disney character and your favorite Disney movie. And we're quantifying this because I'm getting railroaded by my team that these are classic Disney movies. You cannot use movies like Nightmare Before Christmas. That doesn't count. So, think about, like the Renaissance movies, classic characters, no Disney, Pixar, no Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, stuff like that.
Okay. So I will, you know what? I'll split it with you. Okay. I'll split it with you, and I'll do a classic Disney character, but I'm gonna go with a I think it's Pixar movie.
Okay.
So the character I think I probably resonate most with Aladdin from the movie Aladdin, just because like he's like he's a poor like beggar, right? And he has no resources. And I grew up like that. I grew up poor, and he was very resourceful in the movie. So when I was growing up and I was watching the movie, I really identified with him, and, just looking at, he sees a world that he thinks that he'll never be part of, and I remember, it's so funny. I remember watching on TV, there was this commercial and they would show the Epcot ball,
Mm-hmm.
And again, I grew up poor in this little desert town in California. And I thought I will never go and see that Epcot ball. And this is in Florida, I mean, saying it now, it sounds silly, but I just thought, man, that's just that's a universe away, And I remember I made it, I got there. I was in Florida for a work trip. And I was at a conference, and part of the conference is I think they rented out a Disney World, and they let us kind of all go, as part of the conference or whatever. And I remember I was standing there looking at the Epcot ball, and my wife was with me, and she's like, you're moving at these parks, you're like moving, and it's weird to be standing and just looking at something. And she's like, what, what's going on? And I told her that story. I'm like, I remember seeing on the commercials, this Epcot ball, and here I am right in front of it, So it's the same kind of thing with Aladdin, I feel like, he seen a world that he felt like he could never like be part of. And then through the story, right, he gets kind of woven in, to the world. No spoilers. I don't want to ruin the movie for anybody. But but yeah, so that's my favorite character, I think, in Disney movies. And then my favorite Disney movie is Inside Out. I think that's made by Pixar.
Okay.
Nice call. Yeah.
Yeah, Inside Out was masterfully done as far as like the whole subject matter of emotions and how they kind of went through. I don't know. I love it. I could talk all night about it, and I won't. I'm long-winded. I apologize for that. You'll notice that. So I purposely stop myself. So sometimes it feels abrupt, but like I'm just like, no, I got to give other people a chance to talk.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fun. So now that we've gotten to know you, welcome to the show. We're going to have a lot of fun talking tonight about organized play, and that is the primary topic of this week's episode. And for those of you who don't know, the concept behind organized play is you go to your friendly local game store, you sign up. It can be sometimes a tournament where for like Friday Night Magic, a lot of people have probably heard of that term. You show up to your friendly local game store on Friday night, shocking, and you play a Magic the Gathering tournament. You pay a small premium, generally $5, $6, $7. You may or may not get a booster pack. You might get a promotional card. It just depends. But we know for a fact that Lorcana will indeed have organized play. We don't know what it looks like. So we're going to kind of talk about organized play in the current ecosystem of trading card games. So we've got Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Super, Digimon, Pokemon, so on and so forth. A lot of games have organized play. So we're going to talk a little bit about what exists now and then what we hope to see in Lorcana, because the developers from Ravensburger have definitely been around the block. So they don't need to reinvent the wheel. They don't need to come up with some kind of new inventive kind of organized play kit. They just need to find something that resonates with the game itself and the player base and bring those two together. So Who wants to talk first a little bit about their favorite organized play from the games that they've played or the games that they're playing right now?
I'll go with mine. I haven't, since I am the one who is probably the least competitive player as of lately, because I've taken a little break from competitive play. But when I did competitively play, I'm going to go with Destiny because I was pretty good at it. But there was a Star Wars Destiny game that was like a hybrid, like TCG dice game that I thoroughly enjoyed because of the competitive nature, the Star Wars skin, the dice rolling, the luck mechanics of it. But I had a lot of fun with that one, with that Star Wars Destiny, and then probably Pokemon would be a good second.
So tell us a little bit about the OP kits from Pokemon and Destiny.
Absolutely. So the Destiny ones I always thought were really, really good. I feel they kind of waned. Like when the OP kits, in essence, is what is a organized play kit. So what it is that a shop will get these kits from the distributor, and these are for nights to host the game night, and they're like rewarded to people that show up and play the game. So it's an incentive to show up on a certain night and play games with your friends. And so I feel that having good quality OP kits will help the health of the game. I feel the stronger the OP kit, the more that people are incentivized to play, and we're all creatures who love instant gratification. So I feel the more that you're incentivized to play, the better the game will do.
Now, for those listening, give us some examples of the prize support that you received when you were playing, Pokemon or Star Wars Destiny, because like for Destiny, you could get like acrylic tokens or alternate art cards, but with Pokemon, you can get like different foiled cards or different arts, or sometimes you can even win booster packs. Like, kind of take us down that trail of, when you show up to the store and you participate, what do you get?
Normally there is a single card or item that everybody gets for showing up, right? And then if they run a tournament, the tournament's based on whatever, like 3-4 round tournament, and then like there's prizes for like the winner, right? The winner gets maybe this special holo card, and then like second, third place get this. And there's like a breakdown of tiers. But the cool part with Star Wars Destiny and with Pokemon is that you didn't get any extra favors playing the card game. Like you didn't get any special cards you could only get by winning the game. That'll help you win the game more. It's just alternate versions or like little ways to enhance your gameplay experience with like, shinies or like plastic versus cardboard. And so like with Pokemon had that with, alternate art cards, and then the Destiny had that as well with the acrylic tokens, with the play mats. Just ways to enhance the visuals of the game is what I really enjoyed.
So for those of you guys playing other games, I know we've got Dragon Ball Super, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood. We've kind of established that organized play comes with alternate cards with, it's the same card, the same text, the same ability, but a different piece of artwork, or depending on like Star Wars Destiny, if there was like a regional championship or a store championship, you could walk away with a play mat that says, hey, you're first place or second place. What other kind of things do you get from the games you guys are playing? Talking to Jason, Chris, and John.
I'll talk about Flesh and Blood, and I'll just go into, their overall organized play, which is something that I really love about the game. So again, I've said before on previous podcasts that Flesh and Blood, the name actually stands for the creator, James White, wanting people to play in the Flesh and Blood, right? The last couple of years, especially in the TCG world, a lot of games have gone more digital, and his focus really has been about getting players back to local game stores, LGSs, and playing in person. Organized play is based around that concept where they have what they call an armory system, and every store that carries Flesh and Blood, and it's through their distributor, they can sign up for Armory Kit, and that Armory Kit consists of prizes for a whole month, and each store can run one Armory event a week. So in Minnesota right now, we have a lot of local stores running Flesh and Blood. We have, I would venture, one of the most active areas in the country. And we have Armory events every day of the week. And what that consists of is, on a single week, the kit consists of a cold foil version of a card. So that usually goes to the winner, right? And again, I've talked about like how there's different treatments of cards, foil cards, Flesh and Blood. Their special ones are called cold foils, which is just a different way to make a card shiny, right? Per Armory event, the person that does the best at that event gets the cold foil. Everyone that shows up gets another promo, which is normally a foil version of another card. So that's per week. The kit also consists of 2 play mats, and those play mats are to not be given to based on performance. So they're supposed to be given out as to people that support the game, that grow the game, that teach new players, that type of thing. It's a little, it's not clearly defined, but it's supposed to be there as community support play mats. And the other one can be given away however the store wants to give it away. I think it's great. It definitely encourages people to come out and play every week. On top of all that, and again, hopefully I'm not bogarting people's time here. There's an armory. There's an experience system with Flesh and Blood. So to actually play in armory events, you have to sign up, get a player number, and all your games are tracked. And they've used that data for different things. Actually, getting invites to different tournaments like ProQuest and Worlds. Something like the top 50 players in the world. From experience, they got invites to Worlds, which is coming up next week. I'm flying out to San Jose to judge in Worlds, actually. So that's a cool thing you can do with their experience system. It's more complicated. I don't want to get into all that, but yeah, it's also experience system on top of that's built into the armory system. So I love how Flesh and Blood does it. Definitely supports local game stores. They can run. The stores run the events. Sometimes they just run a pure kit event, which is like $5 if you want to come in and play just for the kit prizes, which they get for free from the distributors. Some stores add in packs to that. They may charge $10. They may do pack per win, which is a common thing, as you guys know, for card games. So it's a really great system, and I really enjoy Flesh and Blood. I enjoy going out every week and playing on Tuesday, Wednesdays at my local game stores.
I really like the playmat thing they do, because playmats in Flesh and Blood are a pretty big deal. They fetch a nice premium, and the fact that they have the playmats, they call them people champions playmat.
Right.
It's for the playmat that the way they describe it is somebody who made the atmosphere like fun and enjoyable. It's not even for anybody who won or anything. It's just somebody who like added to the environment. So It just kind of incentivizes people to be chill and to not get super salty and to, to kind of like uplift the environment so that you might be able to get one of these great playmats. The playmats are awesome. Mm-hmm. And it's not only art. A lot of times for like the Flesh and Blood playmats, one of the reasons they fetch premium is because they have the zones on them. And it just helps you to keep your battlefield or your game, in order. Right. And so having those zones in the playmat make the playmat like more special in a way.
Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about Dragon Ball Super and Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, sure. Starting with the DBS. So like these guys are talking about, it all starts on that local level. You're going to show up, like Sugi said, pay your $5 or $6 at most locals. And so what you get with us is you'll get what's called a tournament pack. It has a random promo inside. Bandai likes to go crazy with their promos. They're typically probably about 12 different cards you can get. Of course, depending on the ability, effect of the card, they can fetch a good price. And then what's cool that they started implementing within the past year and a half is we have what's called winter stamps. And so it's a foil version of, there's 4 of those. They pick 4 promos. It's a foil shiny piece of cardboard that has winter stamped on it. They look fantastic. From there, go up to the regional level. Actually played in one today. That's where, you kind of or start trying to get your invites towards our national tournament. Ours here for the US is coming up early part of December. So I am already prepping for that. But from there, you get either packs or like today, you get like basically about every quarter. There's a set of about 5 promos that they create, and then you'll get a set of, it's random, but I typically get like one of each essentially for entering. And then from there, if you get top 16 or above, you'll get a playmat, your invite to nationals. And then depending on how you place, you get additional, like the event packs. And then you can get, if you do better, then there's like these guys were already talking about, there's different alt arts for some of the better cards in the game that you can get. And those cards get an insane value because it's like a special, printing of the card. You can get booster boxes. You can get all kinds of crazy stuff for that. And then at Nationals is when you pretty much make bank just for showing up. And if you win, you get all kinds of stuff. And now that we're post-COVID, last year we had our very first World Tournament. And of course, we're, hoping they're talking about doing this one in person because, last year they were still, we had our World Tournament over webcam, but Bandai's talking about doing this one in person, which would be awesome. And then, in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a pretty much a similar structure, except for they have an event over the regional level. It's just called YCS, which is just Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series. Those things get a lot of duelists that show up, but you can make bank at a YCS too.
I do want to comment about Bandai and Dragon Ball Super, and maybe Jason can tell me if it's different now.
Yeah, sure.
I played a little bit of Dragon Ball Super when it first came out, and something that frustrated me about their organized play system was that the cards were given out. Some of the cards that were given out at these for winning events were unique. Like they weren't they weren't found in the set. You couldn't pull them, right? So to make some of the decks, you needed to actually get these cards from your winning a weekly or something like that. Which at that time there weren't many events going on, so it was really hard to get some of these tournament packs. I think they were called, right? So
yeah, tournament packs.
So that I hope that just talking about Lorcana, I really hope they don't go that route where you have to. And I don't think, and based on what they've said so far, I'm not worried about that at all. It doesn't sound like they're going to go that route where you have to get unique cards or playing at an event. I think it's great to support playing in person, that type of thing. But again, doing it that way really makes that interaction of playing was supposed to be a fun game into something more, right? Something more stressful and something that I really don't enjoy when that happens.
Yeah. So to go off what you're saying, not to kind of talk negatively about Bandai, but it's actually a huge issue with them because we had it real bad. I would say during the pandemic year, so during like 2020, I'll say 2019 through like mid 2021, there were a couple of archetypes that came out and some of the sets that came out during the pandemic, and they printed promos that were essential to how that deck functioned. And because of one, the world was shut down, but somehow some of these store owners had said promos like these promos, and we're going to get into like Yu-Gi-Oh numbers here. We're going for 100 plus for a single copy of cardboard, and you need 4. So that's $400+ to play a game that to play a deck in a game that you can't really play during a pandemic, outside of like webcam, when during a webcam regional, like during that time period. So yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense. They've since then kind of like listened to their player base. They took a lot of heat for it because why outside of like trying to get, entry and money for your TOs and, off that second market to play this game, like, if it's a key card, that's essential for a strategy to function, why are you making it a TP? As the player base, that was our biggest argument, outside of like money, but Bandai, that is probably, and I want to get into like the whole like actual structure of like organized play with them, because this year has been horrible in terms of like how they've handled organized play. Like, since I'm already talking about it, I'll go there. We didn't start our organized play season until April, and we should have started, and they told us we were going to start in February, or the beginning of March. So like the amount of it, because you can't just show up to our national tournament. Like, you have to earn a spot. And when a quarter of our season's already gone, then that creates, a limited number of seats at the table to be able to play for the biggest event of the year. And so like, as a player, like, who one loves the Dragon Ball IP and two loves this game, like, it's been very frustrating. And so like everything that I've seen from Lorcana, I don't think in terms of like how organized play is going to be structured and the promo situation, which was the initial, point of your question, I don't think they're going to handle it like Bandai does.
And John, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Magic OP looks like?
Well, back in the day, let's go take a little trip. They used to do this really cool thing that was beloved. And what they would do is it was called the Magic Player Reward System. And what you would do is you would play at stores, and the stores would have F&M promos is what they called them at the time. And it would be like a different printing of a card or just a reprinting of a card it would be a special foil and it would say F&M on it. And typically like the top 8 players in the F&M or top 4 players would get a copy of that card. So you'd play in the F&M, you'd try to get, the F&M promo. And then the cool thing, this Magic Player Rewards thing, is they would record on their system every time you played at a tournament. And if you played a lot of those tournaments, I think it was, I don't know if it was monthly or if it was every 3 months. It was either monthly or every 3 months. You would get something in the mail from Wizards. And the more you played, the more rewards you would get in the mail. So they would send you, like, I remember the first one I got, you would get these textless cards. So they would be cards they were cards that existed in the game. They weren't exclusive like you guys were talking about, but they would be like a special textless version, and you could only get them from the player reward program. And if you played like the max, you would get like 2 foil textless Wrath of Gods. I remember the Wrath of Gods. Everybody wanted them, and you wanted to place it, but I think the most you can get was 2 for playing. Like if you played in like every event for, everyone you could or whatever. And that was so effective in getting people to go to local game stores. I remember because we were like, if I miss an F&M or I'm only this many F&Ms away from getting all my wraths, like I need to show up because I don't want to miss them. Even if you lost, you were still like, well, it's about participation. It's not about like if you won or, it's just about playing in the event, So that's what they used to do. They eventually terminated that program. I don't know why. Maybe it just cost too much money for them or whatever. So they replaced that with, now what they do is they have these promo packs, and it's like a little pack of cards, and it has, I think they all have like 1 rare and then a couple of like showcase cards or whatever. And then, so there's the regular promo pack, which are usually handed out for like, kind of door prize participation, maybe like, top, 8, not including the winners, right? The 2 winners typically get a premium promo pack. And what that is it has foils, foils of stuff in it instead of just regular cards, they're foil cards. So they have those and they send those to stores. They'll send you a box of those promo packs. So needless to say, I think like I like the old way more than these promo packs, because you can open the promo pack and just get a bulk rare. It's just like, it's really there was a time like they did around War of the Spark, the promo packs possibly had a Japanese planeswalker in them, which was pretty exciting for people. But I think overall, like the F&M level, I think right now we're all talking about like the store level organized play. But there's other tiers to organized play, and some of you alluded to like the nationals or the bigger tournaments, like the biggest tournament, like the one you're talking about with Bandai, but we focus a lot on the store organized play, but typically organized play has tiers, right? You have like the store is kind of the lower tiers, like where you're getting your practice in and trying to see where you fare in your local community. And then like from there you'll go, and maybe play in something bigger that's like more of a regional event, how good are you in the region? And then maybe a national event, how good are you in the, in the nation? And then the world's event, kind of like, typically that's how that stuff does. But there's also like other tournaments that, they can run or whatever.
Yeah, it's a very wide range of different promotional support, different reasons or means to get players into a friendly local game store. And so now that we've talked about what is happening in the current established market, let's talk about some things that we want to see or maybe don't want to see with Lorcana. So something I actually really don't like from Yu-Gi-Oh is the OTS pack. And the reason why is when you show up to a tournament, you generally are guaranteed to get one OTS pack. And then when you play out the tournament, the winner gets more OTS packs. And then like second player, like for example, just say, winner gets 10, second place gets 5, third place gets 4, fourth place gets 2, and everybody else gets 1. Okay. You won the tournament, you get a bunch of packs. That feels good. However, there are times where certain OTS packs have these really valuable and expensive cards, and you'll see someone who lost every single game, doesn't know how to play the game, they just showed up for fun, and they'll pull this $40 card, and the person that won everything, that definitely earned the W, open 10 packs, and they just get a bunch of bulk rares, and it's kind of a feel bad moment because the person who did the most work and showed the most skill did not get rewarded equitably to what they provided. So something I would like to see for Lorcana is not providing sealed booster packs with, blind support with alternate rares or whatever. I would rather see alternate art cards that everyone has access to, or maybe a playmat. Like if you win a store event, you get a playmat that says, hey, I'm, first place in my store, because that way you can show that you've earned that win versus you got 10 packs and you didn't get anything, and it feels kind of bad. That's my take. But what are some of the promotional items and things you do want to see from Lorcana, or things you don't want to see?
Just for clarification before we move on, is OTS pack the same as a booster pack? Was that different? Like a
so an
pack?
OTS pack comes with what is it, Jason? 3 cards?
I believe so. I haven't played an event to get one in a while. I believe it's 3, but if you play Yu-Gi-Oh, you can correct us in the comments.
Yeah. So it's a sealed booster pack.
Okay.
You cannot buy it. You can only earn it by playing in the event. So they're not for resale. So traditionally, when you play an event, it's like $5-7. Traditionally, everybody gets 1, so everybody gets a pity pack, and then you get multiple packs if you go higher in the bracket. So I think they pay out, if it's a small event, they pay out to top 4. If it's a medium event, they'll pay out to top 8. And if it's a big event, they'll pay out to like top 16. And when I say like small event, we're talking like, 30-ish players. A medium event's like 50 to 60, and the big event's like 100 or more. So, you could walk away with a lot of OTS packs. But again, I've seen people crack, 10, 15 OTS packs and they don't get anything. And then like the fourth place player pulls 2 of the $40 cards, and it's like, oh,
right.
Well, that's good for you. That's lucky. But it feels bad for the winner who's just like, I've been here for like 5 hours playing and I didn't really get anything out of it. Blech.
Yeah, the pack
100%.
model is just so gross. Like if they're gonna do packs, like they might as well just give actual packs as prize support. Like that's what they do with the so Wizards does this, where like for the pre-release, if you order like so many pre-release kits, you get 2 packs for every pre-release kit that you buy. Or you used to do this. I don't know if they still do it, but they would give you 2 packs for every pre-release kit you buy. And I think if Lorcana did similar things where it's like they're going to give you actual packs of cards instead of these like mini packs, that, then that helps the prize support be a little bit beefier. But I think if we get to pick, it would be way better to know what you're getting. Yeah. Like you're getting this cool card. And then if you don't want that card, you don't have to, if, let's say it's a character, let's say it's Aladdin, my favorite character, I'm going to be at all those F&Ms, right? But like maybe someone who doesn't like Aladdin could make a decision and say, you know what, I'm not going to go for that one.
Go back to your question. So I think, I will say overall, organized play is one of the hardest things that a creator of a TCG has to deal with, right? It's really the lifeblood of the game. It can be, if it's done wrong, it could be fatal to the game. If it's done right, it can be, what drives the game to continue on for years, right? So it's very important. It's very hard. Playing games for years, I think really finding that, and we focus a lot on the weekly events, right? As Jonathan said, there's various levels of organized play, but really those weekly events really, in my opinion, are where a game creator, a distributor should focus on, making sure that everybody has the options to get out and play the game and feel involved in the community, right? That's what I'm personally seeking for in these games. That's why I leave the house instead of just sitting home and playing video games. Because if I'm going to sit at home and play a game, I'm going to play a video game. I'm not going to play a card game on my computer. So again, I think finding a prize that goes towards someone that's doing well, actually coming to an event and winning all the matches that night, right? I think that should be rewarded, right? I don't think that should be put on a too high of a pedestal, because let's be real, a lot of people aren't going to, maybe don't have the skill, don't have the time, don't have the resources, maybe to make a TCG deck that can do that consistently, right? So I think that's important to reward that person that comes out and it goes 3-0 for the night. But I also think, again, Flesh and Blood is my favorite game. I think it's really cool that they have the option that you can come the whole month for all 4 weeks, encourage people, play your decks, show up to support the store and get a chance to win that playmat, right? So having both things, having an option for people that are coming up and doing well at the event, again, that, in my opinion, that prize for going 3-0 can't be super valuable. It has to be valuable enough to get people out, but it can't be valuable enough that it's going to make people feel bad if they don't get it. So it's a real fine line to walk, and the distributors, creators can't always control that. Sometimes the secondary market controls that. So, a lot of times in the early life of a game, it leaves secondary market controls a lot of these promo things, which we've talked about in other podcasts. So again, that's what I'm hoping for. It's not going to be perfect right away. They're going to have to take some time, think about it, and make some adjustments. But hopefully they can find a balance that rewards both the people coming and playing competitively and people coming to support their local stores.
So you don't like a top-heavy prize support thing? You don't like if the winner gets something like some kind of expensive foil or anything like that?
I really don't like that. Yeah, I mean, and I know that's some people love that, right? Some people are really encouraged by that knowing they go to their store, they'll get all the packs, or they'll get a playmat that says I'm the winner, right? For me, I like it to be more spread out, go more wide, reach more people. That's my personal take, and I don't think there's a wrong take there. That's just what I like, because I in my opinion, that's better overall for the community. That's just my own opinion.
I'm just curious because as someone who's running a store, right, and I'm thinking about planning my events and stuff like that, when I hear something like that, it makes me interested, because the natural way to think about it is a bigger prize will draw more people, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's everyone wants a chance at winning something big,
right? And everybody's different. I mean, that you're not gonna. I'm a unique. I'm about to be 40 years old. I've been playing these games for a long time. I have different priorities life than somebody that's. I mean, there's local guy that plays Flesh and Blood. He is a complete opposite of me. He wants to go and get all the packs. He wants to go, and if he put that work in, he wants to get that big reward, right? So I don't think there's any right or wrong way. I know my way, and it's worked for me, and it's worked for the communities I try to build. But yeah, that's my take on it. That's really what a lot of that is, you can have both of those exist. I think both of those things exist in Flesh and Blood. There are some stores that are real top heavy. Obviously you have the armory prizes, which are just what they are, but stores can add on to that, right? They can add on to that, and you can make it be that, instead of, the first person gets the cold foil and they get 10 packs, right? Mm-hmm. If you set up the prize and set up the buy-in to be a certain way. So it really, even with the armory system, stores still have a lot of leverage over what that really looks like in the end.
I wonder what kind of things Lorcana could give, besides, if we say, okay, promo cards are cool, that's one thing they can give. Playmats are cool. What else could they give? Pins? You think Lorcana can do pins?
Binders, deck boxes,
sleeves.
They got that Disney money, mate.
Flesh and Blood's been big in sleeves lately. Flesh and Blood got to deal with what is it, Dragon Shield? And they've been making their own unique sleeves, which, some people, it's hard because some of the early prize support for Flesh and Blood, and now we're talking past armories, we're talking, regional, like national level events, store championship events. You would get like a special cold foil card that was real unique, and then they went to sleeves. So some players, sleeves, obviously, I think it's an interesting concept to give those as prizes. Unique sleeves, unique backing, but obviously that's something that's going to not carry the same. Maybe it's not obvious. It's not going to carry the same value as a card will, right? Because
No.
the sleeves are,
You
if you actually
never
use
know.
them, you're going to
You
damage
never
them.
know. You never know.
I mean, you
Sleeves
never
have value.
know. I'm just saying. I think it's more likely that the sleeves are not going to be as valuable as a cold foil card.
Cough, anime sleeves. Cough, cough.
I mean,
think
it
it's like,
depends
oh my
on the
gosh.
quality of the sleeve too, though.
Sure.
Because with
and the rarity of the sleeve.
and the rarity, yeah.
I think it's like on Hearthstone. Remember when you get Legend, you get Legend sleeves, right? And then of course you put them on, right? Because you're like, I want to show people I'm the Legend, right? And so like I think the same thing if they did that in Lorcana, you know, where it's like, you know, best player ever sleeves or whatever, you know, that could be a status symbol, you know, in the F&M community.
But
I call it the F&M. I know Lorcana will
sure.
be something, the L&M or whatever, you know, whatever they call it, you know.
Lore Knights, right? I mean, so that's digital versus physical. Like I personally don't mind the sleeves. I think it's cool. We have some ones that are just for top 8 at ProQuest, right? Those are pretty rare. Like, you know, 8 people have them, right? But inherently, when you put those on physical cards, right, the box is open, they're going to get damaged. So that's different than, in my opinion, like you can make the same argument about a card that goes in your deck. I guess the card in your deck might get bent and might get some, you know, dirt on it or whatever.
I just want that water bottle, that Flesh and Blood water bottle.
Yeah.
Wait, they have water bottles?
Yeah, just so y'all know, Flesh and Blood at the first Pro Tour, they had these water bottles, and I saw them and I was like, oh man, I want one of those. Of course, like on the secondary market, they're like $400 or something.
Oh, really? Are they them? Oh, my God.
That's how much they were. I don't know what they are now.
That's incredible.
They were black and they had print on them, something about, because in the game, you know, there's a resource symbol. So I had that on that, use that resource symbol to take a sip and get rehydrated or something like that. So it's real cute. And the players got black ones, and then the judges had white ones.
Yeah.
It was a nice surprise.
Man, I would love some kind of system where you could have, now this is way too deep in the sticks, but like you might remember from Magic the Gathering, they had a DCI card.
Oh, yeah. Those are cool.
Yeah, you would sign up.
Yeah, I remember that. I had just like a pop ID for Pokemon back in the day.
Yeah, so you sign up, you say, here's my name, you get a DCI number, and every time you played, the store would scan your card, and then you could get DCI points, and you had access to a store, if I remember correctly, where you could buy, you know, exclusive items, and you could get like a T-shirt or a hoodie or a hat or stuff like that.
Wait, what? You could
I don't remember that. That must have been a long time ago.
Stuff?
That's what I remember. There was like a point system, kind of like
I thought there was a point system. Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody, I didn't know about that. I probably had a bunch of points.
I might be
misremembering
this. Am I crazy, Skeff? I thought that was, you could do that.
No, because I thought that was the same thing back in the day where you do that. Like there's like you would be rewarded, and then you could like turn those in. Like there was a pop ID where you scan enough tournaments. Like, oh, I've done well. These
Are you thinking about Camel?
Oh, that's Pokemon. Isn't that Pokemon though? Because you said pop ID.
Yeah, I said pop ID.
Yeah, that's not DCI. So I am thinking about pop. Okay, so that's Pokemon organized play.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So never mind. It wasn't DC. DCI was for being tracked.
But you were able to keep track of your wins and losses with a DC though.
Yeah, with DC,
where you played. Yeah,
that's how you got invites into the Pro Tour. But yeah, you're right. With Pokemon organized play, which was called Pop, you would get points, and then you could go to a store and you could trade those points in for special stuff.
That's pretty cool.
And then if you were a judge, you had a special judge store because I was a Pokemon professor, and so you could get like pins and all kinds of cool Pokemon
special playmats, backpacks.
And it all said Pokemon organized play all over it. It was all branded and themed. But that was my favorite thing was you could play, get points, and then spend those points non-trading card game related stuff or some trading card game, like they had, play mats or a backpack or sleeves, or they had Pokemon organized play dice. You'd roll it for who goes first or whatever. So I liked that system a lot. So I would love to see that with Lorcana, where you score points and then you can buy your favorite character T-shirt or some swag with your favorite, I don't know, color. What are they calling it? Stones. Like an amethyst playmat or whatever.
I wonder, I think the listeners are definitely picking up on one thing about organized play. It's about the loot. It's about the loot. Know,
right? I said that. I said the quality of your OP kits will improve the health of the game.
Now, do you think OP? Now, someone said OP is necessary for a game to survive.
I think
Yes.
Do you think so?
100%.
Is everyone
100%.
unanimous on that?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this week's episode. This is part 1 of 2, where we're going to be talking about organized play. And this is a great stopping point to just ponder John's question. Is organized play necessary for the health and success of a trading card game, especially with Lorcana? And that's what we're going to be talking about in part 2 next week when we drop the second half of this episode. So thank you very much for joining us. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at LorcanaCast. Also, if you're listening to us on YouTube or your favorite podcast aggregate, do us a quick favor, like and subscribe so that way you are in the know when the next episode drops. And you can find more information about LorcanaCast, whatever podcast aggregate you're listening to. So thank you to everyone for joining us on this week's adventure, and we will see you next time. So remember, Ohana means family, which means nobody gets left behind, nobody gets forgotten.